What if I told you there is a place on Earth where time stopped, where entire cities were abandoned in hours, where nature took over, and where no human is supposed to survive? And yet, one man walked in and somehow walked out alive. Now stop and think about that, because this isn't a story about getting lost. This is a story about entering a place that was never meant to be entered again. A place where even standing there for too long could silently kill you. Now let me ask you something. If you knew a place could kill you without warning, without pain, without even letting you realize it, would you still go inside? Because that's exactly what he did. Now imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a restricted zone. No people, no sound, just silence, broken buildings, rusted structures, and signs everywhere telling you to stay away. Now ask yourself, what would push someone to cross that line? Curiosity, desperation, or something else? Because once you step inside, there's no guarantee you're coming back. Now picture that moment. He takes the first step, nothing happens. Second step, still nothing. Everything looks normal. And that's what makes it terrifying. Because radiation doesn't look dangerous. You can't see it. You can't smell it. You can't feel it. Now ask yourself, how do you fight something you can't even detect? Because the danger isn't immediate. It's silent, slow, and by the time you realize it, it's already too late. Now imagine walking deeper. Abandoned houses, doors left open, objects exactly where people left them, like life just stopped. Now think about that. Entire lives frozen in time. Now ask yourself, how fast did they have to leave? What were they thinking? What did they see? Because something forced them out. Something powerful enough to erase an entire population overnight. Now imagine walking through that, alone, knowing whatever happened here could still be there. Now here's the question. How long before fear kicks in? Because silence like that isn't normal. It's heavy. It presses on you, makes you feel watched, even when you're completely alone. Now imagine hearing something, a sound, faint, distant, but real. Now ask yourself, what could possibly be making noise in a place where nothing should be alive? Because that's when things start to feel wrong. Now imagine turning around, expecting to see nothing, but feeling like something is there, watching, waiting. Now think about the psychological pressure of that, being alone, but not feeling alone. Now here's where things get even worse, because the longer you stay, the more your body is being affected. Not in a way you can feel immediately, but in ways you can't see. Your cells, your DNA, slowly being damaged. Now imagine that. Every second you're there, something inside you is breaking, and you don't even realize it. Now ask yourself, how long would you stay before turning back? Because he didn't leave. He kept going, deeper, further, into a place that should have killed him. Now imagine night falling, complete darkness, no lights, no people, just ruins, and whatever else might still be there. Now think about that. Spending a night inside a nuclear zone alone. Now here's the terrifying part, because radiation isn't the only danger. Isolation, fear, and your own mind can become just as deadly. Now imagine trying to sleep, knowing that every second you're being exposed. Now ask yourself, would you even close your eyes, or would you stay awake, listening, waiting? Now hours pass, and something changes, not outside, but inside his mind. Because extreme environments don't just affect the body, they affect perception. Now imagine seeing things, shadows moving, shapes that don't make sense. Now ask yourself, are they real? Or is your brain reacting to stress? Because in a place like this, you can't trust your senses. Now think about the fear of that, not knowing what's real and what isn't. Now imagine waking up the next day, still alive, still able to move, and realizing you survived the night. Now ask yourself, does that make you feel safe? Or does it make you more afraid? Because surviving once doesn't mean you'll survive again. And what he discovered next is what turned this from a survival story into something much darker. Now imagine this. You made it through the first night. Somehow, against all odds, you're still alive, still breathing, still able to move. But something feels different. Something inside you has changed, and you don't know what it is yet. Now let me ask you something. What would scare you more? Dying instantly, or realizing something is slowly happening to you and you can't stop it? Because that's exactly where he is now, alive, but not safe. Now imagine standing there, looking at your hands, expecting everything to be normal, but feeling something off. Now ask yourself, is it real or just fear? Because radiation doesn't announce itself. It works silently, changing things from the inside. Now imagine trying to leave, deciding that it's enough, that you've seen too much, and it's time to get out. But here's the problem. The deeper you go, the harder it is to find your way back. Now ask yourself, what if you can't find the exit? Because everything looks the same. Abandoned streets, broken buildings, empty roads. Now imagine walking in circles, thinking you're moving forward, but actually going nowhere. Now think about the panic that starts building, slowly, then all at once. Now here's where things get even more intense, because your mind starts playing tricks on you. You hear footsteps behind you, but when you turn, nothing is there. Now ask yourself, is someone following you, or is it your brain reacting to stress? Because in isolation, the human mind creates its own threats. Now imagine hearing voices, faint, distant, like someone calling out. Now think about that. Voices. In a place where no one should be alive. Now ask yourself, would you follow them or run the other way? Because either choice could be a mistake. Now hours pass, and your body starts to feel weaker, not dramatically, but enough to notice. Your energy dropping, your movements slower. Now think about what that means. Because radiation sickness doesn't hit instantly. It builds slowly, and by the time symptoms appear, the damage is already done. Now imagine realizing that even if you escape, something inside you might already be broken. Now ask yourself, is survival still possible, or are you just delaying the inevitable? Now here's the turning point, because at some point, he finds something unexpected, something that shouldn't be there, signs of life. Now imagine that, in a place abandoned for years, something is still moving. Now think about how impossible that is, and yet he sees it. Now ask yourself, is it human or something else? Because extreme environments change things, animals, nature, even behavior. Now imagine locking eyes with something in the distance, not fully visible, but enough to know you're not alone. Now think about the fear of that moment. Because now, it's not just the environment, it's something inside it. Now, adrenaline kicks in, and for the first time, survival becomes urgent. Now, imagine running and not knowing where you're going, just trying to get away. Now ask yourself, and what's chasing you? And because sometimes, not knowing is worse than knowing. Now hours pass, and somehow, he finds the edge of the zone, the boundary, the line he crossed. Now imagine seeing that, after everything, after the fear, the confusion, the uncertainty. Now think about the relief, but also the doubt. Because what if it's not over? What if something followed you out? Now here's the shocking part. Because he made it. He actually walked out alive. Something that shouldn't have been possible. Now ask yourself, how? Because exposure at that level, for that long, should have been fatal, but it wasn't. Now imagine the aftermath. Doctors, tests, questions, trying to understand how he survived, but not finding clear answers. Now think about that. Surviving something that should have killed you. Now, here's the final question. Did he really escape? Or did something change? Something that no one can see. Because sometimes the real danger isn't what happens inside the zone. It's what comes back with you.